Microsoft's attempt to buy Activision Blizzard took an interesting turn this week, with none other than Ubisoft getting involved. Let's have a look. Hey guys, I'm Dimsies from the Omnic Post. I have been following that deal between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard rather closely, especially in the last few months. Not because I'm a big fan of corporate politics, but because it could be just what Blizzard needs as a company right now, both for us the players and for the employees. And I have to admit, it has been a bit of a learning experience. These types of deals are on a whole new level. This could be the biggest deal in gaming ever. But above all, it has been a roller coaster ride. But a really slow roller coaster ride. Back in April, I made a video on how this deal was about to die, well, according to the analysts. But then in June, it sprung to life again. And this week, we got about the biggest plot twist we've seen in all of this. Ubisoft was added to that deal. Yeah. Let me quickly run down the timeline for those that missed everything up till now, because you accidentally locked yourself in the toilet and you've been living off toilet roll. In January 2022, Microsoft announced that they were planning to buy Activision Blizzard for a whopping $68 billion. That's a lot of money. And that deal was set to close in June 2023. Yeah, let's joke. The thing is, these deals are not like buying a laptop or a pair of sneakers. It takes a lot of preparation to get a deal like this done, and above all, it needs to be approved by a lot of official instances. A lot of public servants want to take a look at what you're doing, because it has a potential impact on the local economy. Now, to make a long story short, a lot of the countries did approve the deal, except at the start of 2023, the FTC in the United States blocked the deal. They had some objections. Well, those objections were taken to court, and Microsoft ended up winning that case. There's a little more to the story than that, but it's the gist of it. In April, the CMA in the UK also blocked the deal, which was a little more problematic. That was that game over moment I was talking about earlier. And then the EU approved the deal, with some stipulations and some small changes that needed to be made. And by then, Microsoft had won their case in the States, so just before the summer, there was this brief moment, this brief window in which Microsoft could have closed the deal without the UK. But that would have made things very complicated. So they opted not to do that, and to start talking to the CMA again, with a new deadline at the end of this month. In the meanwhile, Microsoft and Activision Blizzard had agreed among the two of them to move the deadline for the deal in general to October, which is a long way ahead. I figured that they had done this to be on the safe side. Corporate politics can be very slow. It's like those people have a superpower to slow down time. But they only use it for corporate crap and to turn 1-minute rice into slow cooking. Bastards. Anyways, turns out that pushing that deadline to October was a smart thing to do. See, while most of us had expected to seal this deal close right about now, Microsoft submitted their new deal. One of the big pillars why the CMA objected this deal was cloud gaming, which currently is still a myth. But they were worried that Microsoft was going to grow too strong in that market. So to appease that concern, Microsoft will be selling all of the cloud rights for Activision Blizzard to Ubisoft. So when this deal eventually closes, Ubisoft is going to put down a lot of money, and they'll have to pay some royalties over the next years. But from that moment on, they will be publishing all of the Activision Blizzard games to cloud platforms, which includes their own Ubisoft Plus. You could compare it to the way that Sony had the rights to Spider-Man, which is a Marvel character. Up till recently, now they kind of both own it, but it is already incorporated in that deal that it needs to be different cloud platforms, so not only Ubisoft Plus. Don't panic, you won't need a Ubisoft Plus subscription to play those games in the cloud. Because this is not the same thing as the Battle.net store, Steam, the Epic store. Those are digital distribution platforms. The cloud is something completely different, but I'll make a separate video on that on my Scopic Gaming channel. Because there's a lot to be said about cloud gaming, both in favor and both against. Now, to make things a tad more complicated, Microsoft already had some deals with other cloud platforms like Nvidia. And this Ubisoft deal does not count in the European Union, because Microsoft already had a deal with the EU. Remember the stipulations and changes I talked about? Yeah, cloud gaming was one of them. It's a bit of a mess, but where are we at right now? Well, the CMA has announced that they've received this new deal and that they will be investigating it with a deadline early October. Talking about calling it close. They are so slow. Did you know, if you stare too long at a public servant, time will eventually stop. That's how people like Paul Rudd, Elijah Wood, Hale Berry all still look so young. They have a public servant in their family. But there is a lot of faith that this deal is going to close in October. Mainly because they addressed all of the concerns the CMA made. If the CMA objects now, it is going to reek so hard of Sony that it gets ridiculous. The one little hiccup people still see is the fact that the European Union is looking into that new deal and wondering if they need to investigate it. My answer would be no, because that deal actually excludes the European Union. But that might be exactly that fine print that they're looking at right now. At this point, I'm not inclined to put any wagers against the outcome of all of this, but I'm still optimistic. Yeah. And that video on how this will impact all of us and the employees at Blizzard will have to wait. Now watch this deal close in October and Microsoft buying Ubisoft in 5 years. Or Sony buying Ubisoft. Oh damn, that would be messy. Anyways, for this week's question, are you an Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, or PC player? Let me know in the comments. Join me during my streams on twitch.tv/DamesTV and make sure to subscribe for more updates on Overwatch.